Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Just so you know, if any of the MAC members, if you mute yourself for background reasons and you're having trouble getting unmuted, there's a raise hand button at the bottom. Just click that and I'll make sure you get unmuted.
Sure.
If you can't unmute yourself.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Looks like we have 21 people on. That's great.
Right.
Okay. I think
better than our regular meetings.
I think we're ready to start.
Okay.
We have Linda here. Hi, Linda.
Hi.
Okay. All right. So let me call to order our meeting today, our June meeting. I don't have my gavel, but welcome everybody. And missed everybody. And we had several months here that we had to miss, but we're all ready to go. So we're going to do our normal agenda. So if you're from the public, please wait till we get to the public comments and we will call you then during public comments. Otherwise, I believe you will be muted until that time. So let's go on to the flag salute. Who would like to lead the flag salute today? Jane, you want to lead us the flag salute?
I'll do it. Please stand and put your hand over your heart. I don't have a flag here with me, sorry.
Okay.
Are you ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. All right. Next, we're going to have adoption of the agenda. Hope everybody on the mat saw the agenda. So does anyone want to make a move?
I'll move to adopt the agenda as written.
I second.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Oh, I'll do a roll call with the Zoom. We do a roll call. So Seema Chandra,
Aye.
Alon Glickstein,
Aye.
JL Diaz,
Aye.
Janice Smets,
Aye.
Jane Nye.
Yes.
Okay, approved.
All right, so the agenda has been adopted. All right, we have the meeting minutes that were sent out from the February 25th MAC meeting, which was our last MAC meeting. Are there any comments on the meeting minutes from February? No? Okay. All right. So anybody want to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second it?
Second.
JL and Jim.
I second it.
Okay, JL seconded it. All right, so let's take a vote. All those in, well, I guess Vanessa is going to do a roll call.
Seema Chandra,
Aye.
Alon Glickstein,
Aye.
JL Diaz,
Aye.
Janice Smets, Jane Nye.
Yes.
Okay, so the meeting minutes have been approved. Excellent. All right, we're moving on to item 5, public safety reports. And I know we have Captain Ferguson with us from the Sheriff's Department. Hi, hello, Captain Ferguson.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Good seeing you guys, even though via Zoom. Not a lot going on. Things are kind of a little bit quiet. I took a look at some of the stuff in Oak Park the last couple of months, and the two patterns I'm seeing is we're seeing an uptick in some porch thefts. People leaving, ordering a lot of stuff on Amazon and so forth. So we're having people take advantage of that. And we're also seeing another uptick in the catalytic converter thefts. throughout the county. So that's another big one. People cut those off of the cars and then go and sell them and recycle them and stuff. So that's the two upticks. We've had a couple of, let's see, vehicle burgs, but not a lot. It's been pretty quiet out there.
Oh, so do you think maybe partially due to the whole lockdown for the last few months, even, you know?
I think so, because people are home. So, you know, which is kind of, it's kind of funny, because you think people are home, people would be not wanting to go and steal packages off the porches because there's a lot of eyes out there, but we are seeing that, not a lot, but a handful. But yeah, I think because people are home and people aren't going out, so a lot of the opportunities, you know, countywide or department-wide, we're seeing, you know, some commercial burglaries, but not, I haven't seen that in Oak Park at all. And a lot of vehicles being stolen because we're not, with the zero bail, people, the people that are committing crimes aren't staying in jail. So they're getting out and stealing cars. But I only see one stolen vehicle in Oak Park for the last couple of months, which is pretty good.
Okay, well, that's really good. And probably even car accidents might be lower too right now, right? Overall in Oak Park.
Yeah, you know, I don't know that, because the Oak Park, any of the accidents out there would be taken by CHP.
Okay,
So I would know, but I can tell you in the city of Thousand Oaks, yeah, our numbers are down.
that's great.
Some
That's
positive,
good to know.
that's great.
At least that was a positive.
Yeah, no, I was pleasantly surprised when I was going through my my reports the last couple of months to look for things specifically in the Oak Park area, and I was very, very pleasantly surprised how quiet it's been.
Okay, great. Any MAC members have any questions?
No.
No? Okay, great. Thank you, Captain Ferguson. Thank you for giving us an update.
You're welcome, and if it's okay, then I'm going to leave the Zoom, or do you want me to stick around?
No, I think that's okay. I'm sure you're probably pretty busy, so I think we're okay with that. Thank you.
Okay, and if for some reason something else comes up, just give me a call back or something. I'm still in the office.
Okay. Well, we'll
Thank
do.
you. Take care, guys.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, for the CHP, is that Sergeant Curley or Officer Decker?
Good afternoon, ma'am. This is Officer Decker. Sergeant Curley was unable to attend this meeting. So it's just myself here on behalf of the Moore Park Area CHP and our Lieutenant Commander, Mike Logie.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
So-
Thank you for joining us.
Well, hello, everybody. I'm new to this. I recently took over as Community Alliance Officer for the Alliance Officer in the past, that being Officer Ben Suzanka. And so with that being said, in reference to Oak Park in the area, I'm familiar with it. I'm born and raised in the area myself, and I've been in the Moore Park CHP office for close to 12 years now. I am a motor here out of Moore Park CHP. I'm a motor officer. So with that being said, I did pull our stats for this quarter with the Highway Patrol in regards to traffic collisions. I know that was a question that was just brought up. And that being said, we have what appears to be a total of 9 traffic collisions since January, and 4 of those of which are minor injury collisions. And on that note, in regards to arrests, we have no DUI arrests for this quarter, which is odd. And that goes, I think, in line with what we're seeing across the board and for all areas. I speak for CHP, and it being somewhat, I don't want to say quiet, but I think it's a big reflection as to what's been going on, and not a lot of people on the road and out and about. So with that being said, it's a good thing that the collisions are down. But as we move forward and people start coming out of their house and going back to work, so on and so forth, I think that will pick up. And as we try to, I guess, so to speak, get back to the normal. Regarding vehicle thefts, the one that was already spoken of, that's the only vehicle theft I have reported for the unincorporated area of Oak Park there for you folks. And other than that, it's as well, I can say it's been pretty quiet, and everything's been well. I did place our radar trailer in the area based off of a citizen concern. That was placed on Canaan Road, just west of Los Arcos Drive. And that was coming northbound or westbound. westbound on Canaan. And the dates that that trailer was there in the area was from April 20th to May 5th. And on May 5th, I did move the trailer to another area.
Okay.
I believe that covers it. I'll open it up to any questions if anybody has anything for me.
I have something quickly regarding trailers. Is it illegal to park a trailer without a car attached to it?
Correct. It cannot be left unoccupied.
Is there a period of time, or like even a minute, or is it overnight, or is there any specific time frame on that?
It can't be left overnight. Technically, it shouldn't be left unattached to a vehicle. But
There
if
is
so on and so forth.
Okay. Right. I noticed there is one person leaving a big trailer, either his trailer or his boat, always on Canaan, right around 179 Canaan Road. It's on Canaan, just right past Tamarind, or right past Conifer on the left when you're coming from the freeway. I always see a trailer there parked all by itself. You might want to, next time you're in there, if you don't mind, take a peek.
And it's on Canaan?
It's on Canaan, on the houses on Canaan, yeah.
Okay. 179 Canaan. I believe if it's off of Conifer, that's right around the county line. So I'll take a look at it. Either way, I'll try to get that address for you.
Great, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, I think that's it. All right, thank you. Thank you, Officer Decker.
Thank you, ma'am. And with that being said, if it's okay, I'm going to go ahead and disconnect.
Okay, that'd be
Thank
great.
you.
Thanks
Great,
for
thank
your.
you.
Very much.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Have a good afternoon.
All right, we're done with item 5. On to item 6, and we have our Supervisor Parks here. So comments from Supervisor Parks?
May I defer to our Public Health Director, Rigo Vargas, who is on the line. If he would like to go first, he's got to be one of the busiest people in Ventura County, and I don't want to keep him more than we have to. Rigo, would you like to take this spot?
Sure, Supervisor. Thank you for that opportunity. Yeah, we're all super busy, so no problem at all. I could wait, but I might as well just go ahead and take your offer, Supervisor. And again, really thank you and your office for the and the MAC for inviting me to share, the latest information regarding COVID, and then really be here for any specific questions that the public and the MAC Advisory Council board has. So as you may know, our statistics come out every afternoon, and given the timing of today's meeting, I happen to have the most recent information. So you're getting the information, I think, before anyone in the public or the media or our elected officials for that matter. So today's new cases is at 47. As you may know, it really fluctuates that number. Sometimes Mondays in particular are particularly high because of over the weekend numbers come in. But even throughout the week, it fluctuates. Usually corresponds to the number of newly reported tests, and that is overall a good sign. So if we see an increase in cases, we hope to correspond with a larger number in newly tested. So for example, today's number at 47 is correspond. I'm sorry, was there a question?
Yeah, excuse me. Would you mind if you share your screen? Do you have a capability?
Oh, you know what? I'm not able to be at a location for sharing the screen. So
Okay,
it's
no
just on the
worries.
phone, and then our stats are available at bcemergency.com, even though it's, by the way, being transitioned to a different site within the county, but it takes you by going to bcemergency.com.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So I was saying the 47 new cases corresponds to 1,722 newly tested individuals. Again, both of these numbers are new numbers that are about to be reported publicly through vcemergency.com and to the media and other stakeholders. That brings our total of active cases to 1,753. And then our total newly folks tested in Ventura County to just over 43,000. So these numbers are increasing, but it also corresponds to the increasing capacity. We've had, I think now 13 spots or sites for Ventura County residents to get tested, and no longer do you need to have symptoms or be in a high vulnerable, high risk population to get tested. Now anyone can get tested, and particular sites, 4 of them corresponding to each of the city colleges, and also the Ford dealership between Oxford, between Santa Paula and Fillmore. Those 4 sites, again, the 3 colleges and the Ford dealership, those sites you don't even need to make an appointment. You simply drive up, drive through, and it's a very fast test. No appointments, and certainly no fee. None of the sites require a fee. They may ask for a copy of your insurance company in case we can get reimbursement, but it's not at all a condition of getting tested, by the way. So testing has increased capacity thanks to our Board of Supervisors and our CO's office making the investment in making these tests readily available to now all Ventura County residents. There has been, some concern around specific numbers that we report on a daily basis, and also at our Board of Supervisors meetings on Tuesdays, and that is the number of hospitalized positive individuals. That number used to be in the mid to high 30s. It's gone down to the low 20s, high teens. Lately, it's gone up to as high as 47. Today's number is at 41. 41 seems to be around the new average. Hopefully, it'll be a temporary average. We really zero in on this number as an indication of how serious COVID is out affecting individuals. So, as you know, the majority, don't even know that that they've been infected or have symptoms, and so that's why we want to get people tested so that we can know and then get isolated and not infect others. But once people do get infected, of course, for some, it's a very, very serious and actually deadly illness. And in fact, the other number that we're going to be reporting today, and again, you get the privilege of opportunity, I should say, of knowing this firsthand today, is that unfortunately we have an additional death that brings us to 42 Ventura County residents that have passed away from being infected with COVID. So yes, the majority of these individuals are elderly, and yes, the majority have an underlying, mostly chronic health condition, but nevertheless, COVID was listed as a contributing factor to their death. And so I certainly think that, and I think the majority of folks agree that COVID is a very serious health issue, and that it's very important to still get tested and to practice all the usual guidelines that we've been promoting. Everyone's been promoting, social distancing, face coverings, and increased personal hygiene with regard to especially hand washing. So those are the numbers, and I can touch a little bit on specific things around your community, but I'd like to open it up here for any questions on just the numbers that I've shared so far.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any MAC members have any questions?
I just have a couple of quick ones. So the test sites of schools in the Fort, which one is closest to Oak Park? Which test site specifically is closest to us?
Yeah, I believe that would be the Oak Park Library. And so Supervisor Parks, Vanessa, I think you guys may have the address or the specific location.
Rico, I think you mean the Newberry Park Library, don't you?
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. Newberry Park.
And the Newberry Park Library, it's free. You don't have to have any requirements to go there and get tested, right?
That's right.
So are the results immediate? Are the results immediate or instant, or do they email them later? How does that work?
Oh yeah, no. Our test is a little more involved at all of these sites where it's not like a finger stick test or other kinds of tests that are out there. This one is a minimum of 48 hours in most of these public sites. Our public health laboratory does very high risk individual testing, and we usually have a 24-hour turnaround. But again, those are for folks that are already in the hospital or in long-term care, skilled nursing facility type facilities where we need very rapid response in terms of results. So for the general public, for these sites, it's for everyone. So yes, not the very ill. and then it's, again, you don't even have to have symptoms, appointments, nor any insurance, or you're not going to be asked for payment. These sites are for everyone. So yeah, it does take a little bit longer. These tests are not done by public health. They're outsourced to a laboratory. And but the good news is that on average, they're still 24 to 36 hours. And then at times over the weekend, of course, it'll be a further delay. So that's the answer with regard to how quickly the results are in.
And last question: what happens if somebody is positive? How do you contact them, or what do you do? What do you at that point?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, so usually it's still a provider, where the majority of the tests are coming in through a provider referral, and even at these drive-through sites, there's a referring physician. In some cases, it's our health officer, Dr. Levin, being the overall referring physician. So for those, the county healthcare agency and public health, we call for the results. If it's done through your own physician referral and coming into one of the ambulatory care clinics that offers testing, it would be the primary care physician office notifying you. And then soon thereafter, and at times actually before, it would be one of our units in our department in public health, communicable disease office. Public health nurses would call to make sure that you receive your results. And these are we only physically get involved with those that are positive, by the way. So we would call to make sure you know of your positive result, and then discuss with you, your living and work situation to look out for your health and those around you. So namely, we would look to see what potential exposure you've had to others, and for those that are at high risk that have been exposed with that positive individual, we also follow up with them. It's all done with phone, email, and text, and that's called the tracing. And yes, there's been some controversy around that, but be assured that that program is not to remove families whatsoever. It has to do with protecting the health of those that have been exposed. And it's all a matter of just being in touch with them around their symptoms, and then through a text, call, even the email, is just to know if there's a change in symptoms. So that's basically the process for contacting positive individuals is from our office, and maybe also their doctor's office. And then we want to, do a brief contact investigation around who that individual has been in close contact, just to minimize additional exposures and outbreaks.
Got it. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Rigo?
Yeah.
Hi,
Yeah.
Rigo.
Uh-huh.
I'm real, I know maybe you were going to cover this. I'm confused in Ventura County, what is mandatory regarding mask or not mandatory?
Yeah.
And what, and I'm not sure if we're following LA,
Yeah.
if we're in unison with LA. Is there any?
Yeah. You know what? That is such a great question, and because, in particular, not only a good question, great question, but it's timely. Just today, the California Department of Public Health, with Governor Newsom's support, there's they call it a guidance, but it really is an order for the use of face coverings. And there's a little bit of controversy on both sides, but nevertheless, it's really helpful that now there's a statewide, I would say a mandate regarding face coverings and mask usage. And just to be clear, while Dr. Levin had not made it a mandatory requirement or an order locally, we were in support and will continue and especially be supportive of this new specific guidance statewide that is just, again, being released today, and it's in effect already, but it was just released today. And so this guidance actually is very specific, that addresses mainly indoor settings, but it does cover as well outdoor settings when physical distancing is not possible. So like in public transportation settings and waiting in line at stores and restaurants and such. So, I think that this is actually a very good thing. It aligns all the counties. Counties can have stricter local orders, but I think Dr. Levin will stick to abiding fully by the state order, and so I think that's good news and answers your question.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So what I wanted to just highlight, really just actually congratulate Supervisor Parks and all of you in your community for doing your best to keep the numbers down. All of Supervisor Parks districts by zip code, they're under the state, the local rate per 100,000. So what we look is at the number of cases, but by population of the zip code. And all of the zip codes in Supervisor Parks area come under the county rate per 100,000. So it's below. And in particular in Oak Park, your number is quite lower than the county average or rate. So for example, the countywide rate per 100,000 residents is 205 people infected. Your rate based on your population is 147 in Oak Park in particular. The other areas are also around 130, 114. Even one of the zip codes is at 87. So all clearly under 205. So keep up the good work with all that you're doing in your community, whether it's abiding by the social distancing guidelines, the personal hygiene, the getting tested, all those efforts are really making a difference in your communities in particular. Yeah, so, and that's, it's a real testament and turnaround because as some of you may know from early on, actually, Thousand Oaks and Simi Valley in particular had higher rates than the other cities based on population size, and that's no longer the case for the Thousand Oaks area nor the Simi Valley area. What is happening actually much different is the scenario going on in other communities in Oxnard, in Ventura County, namely Santa Paula and Fillmore. They have very high rates compared to their population size, and we're following up on those communities. It has to do with some situations of outbreaks in work sites that leads to folks being infected at home and additional coworkers. But we're also looking into other factors that may be going on there that include social gatherings. And so social gatherings are still not allowed. The state is, that's per the state. The state is expected to come up with some guidance on most likely some loosening of social gathering restrictions. So right now the restriction basically is one can go to the stores and restaurants and parks and such, but within our household members, it's still not the time to socialize with neighbors and friends and relatives at these settings. And in some of these communities, we've come to learn that that adherence to social distancing, is not being abided fully. And so, for example, in one community, we traced back the outbreak that involved close to 20 individuals from a mobile park residence where there was a community barbecue. And so it's just a reminder that COVID is very much out in the community, and if we let our guard down, there is going to be increased infection. And while some of it is expected because we are opening more and more our economy, and that is so important, but at the same time, COVID is still obviously out there. It does affect individuals. Again, 41 of them are seriously ill enough to be in the hospital, and about 15 of them are specifically in the ICU unit. So while our numbers are good overall, among the state, we still got to stay vigilant, and we're seeing, again, some communities in Ventura County that are having much higher rates than in your own community. So I'd say congratulations, but keep up the good work. And so that's it in terms of numbers. I think we just open it up now to any particular questions that you may have.
I have a question. I actually have a handful of questions. My name's Dina Perry. My first question is, what is the death rate for the County of Ventura in comparison to the CDC's death rate for symptomatic and asymptomatic tested patients, which is 0.26%? What is the Ventura County's death rate?
Yeah, so our death rate is about 2%. And that's just based on the number of deaths. So those 42 out of the number of positive individuals. So yeah, about 2.5.
2.5%. Okay. And then, okay, so my other question is, wait, okay, so it was based, I'm sorry, say it one more time. What is it based on, the 2%?
Yeah, number of deaths out of the total positive cases.
Total positive cases. Okay. Okay. And then as far as the mask goes, there's so many different types of masks out there. Like I've seen people wearing crocheted masks. What type of like generalized guidance have you put out there as far as the actual efficiency of the masks being worn by individuals? Not only the efficiency, but their ability to get proper oxygen levels while wearing them.
Yeah, that's a great question. We're really going to be continue to be in full alignment with the state. The state does have, well, at least that's what the heads up that they told us. They will have a frequently asked question section, as well as a resource section around the science and the background of their recommendations, along with links to resources that it did come up around oxygen levels and children and other exceptions to the order, and just additional background. So I would refer you back to the state website on COVID.
Okay,
and we can send you that link too.
Yeah. Okay, because to my knowledge, I have not seen anything like that, and it's very important, especially when people have lower oxygen levels in their body. That creates another whole set of health issues. Then my other question is, what is being done for the community, for those people who have to stay at home, who've lost jobs, for the children who are at home, what's being done for those individuals' well-being? I know we're addressing the issue of the sickly, but there's a big majority of people who may not be well from this whole event. What are the reasons?
Great question.
I haven't seen anything like that,
Yeah.
like on Next Door Neighbor, and I see a lot of, people who are arguing back and forth. You can tell, lots of things going on. So I'm just curious what type of resources are putting towards the well-being of the vast majority of people who are suffering in numerous ways from this.
Yeah, perhaps Supervisor Parks, you want to add info on, the new program that's being rolled out? I think it was, as we speak, with rental assistance and employer assistance coming up. But I have some basic information, and maybe we can send that out to the constituents here. Do you want to add any more to that new program that's being rolled out?
I would just, you can complete your comments, and Rigo is with our public health department. Our human services agency is doing extensive outreach too, and trying to go to those vulnerable populations and understanding the potential for more child abuse, for example, and senior abuse. And but that's not really his department, but we do have a very robust program that we can let you know about too.
Okay, and I have one last question. Okay.
Dina, excuse me. I think we need to move along. So I just want to let the public know, if you're not a MAC member and you're not a speaker at the moment, you need to raise your hand. So if you look at the bottom of your Zoom screen under participants, there's a raise hand button. So please, you have to do that before you can speak. Our host, Vanice Terry, will then allow you to speak, because we need to move along with the meeting.
Okay, since I am a professional health, I am a health professional. That's why I'm asking these questions. Okay.
Yes, I understand.
Okay. Can I ask one more question? Can I please ask one more question?
If it's for, it's relevant for Mr.
It is. It's like, I would also just recommend that I would like to see more than just hand washing, some ideas for the public to help support their well-being. Like I haven't personally seen anything about like eating nutritiously, taking certain supplements like vitamin C and vitamin D. Some studies have been out on vitamin D, and I just would like to see more on that side then versus waiting to get sick. And that's the last thing I'd like to say.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Roberto, is there any additional information?
Yeah, two real quick things on, I mentioned the business assistance and rental assistance program. I do have verified that there's two banners or links on vcemergency.com. Those are additional resources being rolled out, specific programs helping, again, individuals on the business side and also rental assistance side. And as far as, resources and links, I would just refer the public to the CDPH, Department of Public Health, statewide resource, as well as CDC for, additional guidelines around wellness and other resources. But thank you for that question and that information there. On the previous call was asked in terms of speak briefly on business sectors that are opening or have been opened. And so a quick note on that Ventura County, because of our relatively good numbers, and again, there is some concern because of the recent increase in hospitalizations, and we're really closely monitoring that number. And in fact, that number for a while increased so much that we were placed on the state's monitoring list of counties that have higher than expected numbers based on our size. And so we're off that list. So our numbers are okay and within the guidelines of the state to continue reopenings. And with that, Dr. Levin, as our health officer, is able to allow additional sectors to open only when and if the state has already issued guidance on that additional business or sector. So, for example, there's now guidance on nail salons and other personal services to reopen. So he's been looking at that real closely. And based on today's numbers, later today, we're expected to make some announcement of those businesses that he feels comfortable allowing to open. I think the announcement will include some clarification and some overall good news with regard to weddings in terms of sizes and such. That's been, among various other topics, very important, rightfully so. Our delay had been with getting information from the state that basically still does not allow large group gatherings, but it does so for, faith-based and other ceremonies and services. So there's a little bit of clarity from the state on weddings, and we hope to put that out as well this afternoon. In general, though, the other sectors that we get a lot of questions, sports, youth, especially youth sports activities, it's so important for the youth, and I really feel for the families and the youth really that have limited opportunities, and it's impacting youth sports. But, as you know, with children and high contact activity, there's increased risk for infection. So the state has not come out with guidance on youth sports. They say they are working on it, and as soon as they come out with guidance, we would look at it closely here, and for the most part, Dr. Levin allows our county to open up once we get the green light from the state. So that's another one that's been of high interest. But just to wrap it up, there's other services and sectors that the state has not weighed in on, nor allowed any county or the state to open up. And these are some of the things that are remaining are the larger, more risky sectors such as festivals and theme parks and nightclubs and live theater and so on. And so we get a lot of questions to weigh in on things. We do at times, but we do delay other times because we're getting clarification from the state or really waiting for them to come up with the guidance in the first place. Anything else?
JL, you had your hand raised. You have to unmute yourself.
No, that's what I want to unmute. I want to unmute myself. But anyway, I forgot what I'm gonna say. Oh, I remember. Sorry. The other person's comment on the Dina's comment and related to Linda's comment that it's not Rico's department. What department was that, Linda, who handles all the social stuff? Maybe we can invite them for next week, for next month.
Happy to answer that. Actually, as Rigo pointed out, our vcemergency.com page, and now we're actually asking people to go to Ventura County Recovers.org. And on that page, for example, there's a whole link that says coping with stress. And it talks about managing anxiety and stress for a child with emotional needs. It talks about how emotional wellness and mental health support groups that are offered available to the public. There's also a number, you can text if there's a crisis that you need to talk to someone about or you're seeing signs of that. And that's also listed on the Coping with Stress page. But it also has resources for children as well as adults, depending on whether they're stressed and having anxiety because of reactions to the disaster or the COVID crisis, and areas where you can do outreach. And a lot of organizations, for example, First Five was before our board on Tuesday, and they read a book every evening, so you can take your toddler or your young child and have them watch a book being read. But there are a lot of resources, and I really encourage VenturaCountyRecovers.org presents a lot of that information for you, for residents, whether they're coping with stress. And then, as Rigo said, if you're impacted financially, we have rental assistance, and we're also helping businesses that are struggling. We're actually providing funds for those individual businesses and individuals who need help. And the amount of extra, I mean, we have housed 350 people who were homeless just in the last few weeks because of COVID. We have never done that much sheltering ever, and providing them with food and keeping them sheltered. But a lot of programs are in place. Our area agency on aging delivering hundreds of thousands of meals by paying restaurants in a program called the Great Meals Program, paying the restaurants to take the meals to homebound seniors or vulnerable populations. So it's just the amount of really coming to the table for the county. This is what we do. We've gotten a lot of funds from the federal and state governments, and our employees really jumped into action. I mean, if you really think about what we've done in the last couple of months, I don't think we've ever provided more services faster and to more people ever.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Good to know. Thank you.
Great.
Well, thank you again, everyone, for the invitation. Keep up the good work, and may you have a good rest of your meeting and afternoon. Thanks, everyone. I'll log off.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rigo.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
I really so impressed with the work, and like I said, Rigo's one of the busiest people in Ventura County right now, and just like in the last hour or so, it's been announced that the governor's office is now requiring face masks, and that has never been statewide. So I'm sure he's got a lot to do right now and getting that information out, and Dina did ask great questions. Also on our website, the Dr. Levin, who's our public health officer, put together his analysis of face masks, and in it talks about what materials are better than other materials. So that's all available there too, and I'm happy to send Dina that link.
Okay, that would be great.
And as Rigo was saying too, what is the law of the land? It comes from the state, and so that the state's putting all that information together. I'm sure that's what we'll be eventually linking all of our information to, as to the type of mask and where you need to wear them. We can be more restrictive, but we can't be less restrictive. I kind of folded into my comments too, so shall I just keep going?
Yes, go ahead.
Good.
We had a Board of Supervisors meeting Tuesday, and it was quite the scene. It was the first time we opened it up to the public, and there were some anti-mask that we should be doing anything for COVID. And so there are few of them, but very strong. You just realize it is controversial to some people to have anything imposed regarding COVID. But as Rigo was saying, our county is very fortunate that we aren't facing the same situation as all the other Southern California counties. And we're actually doing better than the ones to the north of us too. And I think that's because of the respect that we have for each other. Wearing a mask is protecting people around you also. And so it is good to see, I'm glad to see that these requirements from the state now that you're going to go into a store, you're going to have to wear a mask. I'm sure that's one of them. So those things seem pretty obvious that we need to do at this time. So appreciate that he came and spoke. This is our first Zoom meeting, and we just, Denise has been kind enough to administer that. She works in my office, and she also does the administration for the Santa Rosa Valley MAC and the Casa Caneo MAC and the SOMAS
And the
MAC.
SOMAS.
So she's pretty familiar with MACs, but I'm thankful that she was able to, we did a run through with the Santa Rosa Valley MAC.
You did.
She's got her chops now, so she can do this one. So thank you, Denise, for this, and I know Jan's, definitely taking an obligation because she's still your secretary, as it were. I also want to acknowledge we have our real estate services, Chuck Alvarez and Valeria Lopez here, and Public Works, Deborah Cavaletto, as well as, and we just heard from our Sheriff's Department. Regarding the last, in the interim, some really good things have happened, and I think the MAC may already be aware, but delighted to see that Enhanced Landscaping has introduced non-glyphosate weed control, and so I'm delighted to see that. We'll look to see how that works for Oak Park, a new type of way of removing weeds. A type of chemical is called WOW, W-O-W. Like whack out weeds or something like that. And I think peppermint might be one of the things in there. So I'm happy that they are listening and good to see that happen. Oh. As you know, also on your agenda, you have the ability to, people have the ability to run for a MAC seat. And that could mean, you can file papers to run. We have some openings, two seats that are available for running. And if there aren't more than 2 people who apply, those individuals, like Janice was fortunate enough, you didn't have to go through that whole election thing, but those seats are available. And if we have more than 2 people, then that will mean a November 3 election for those filing. And I guess you'll have that on your agenda a little bit later, but that's coming up. And then also, I believe tonight is at 6:30, our SRPD will be having their Zoom meeting. And I think one of their items too, they're looking at their budget and also looking at the requirements that they're going to have regarding COVID and play equipment, things like that. And we may have representatives from there that can talk to that. I want to thank both Diane Starzak and now SEMA too, helping us with the signboards in Oak Park. It doesn't happen with a switch of a button. Someone's got to go out there and change them letter by letter. But I'm so thankful for their willingness to do all that. Keep your community informed. And then finally, just a quick update on the Canaan Shuttle. You'll see your budget did not have to put out as much money because we stopped service for a while, I think for about a month, as well as reduced services. So, and that's all related to COVID. Also, there was an expense that was being charged for, I think it was the lease of the vehicle that shouldn't have been charged to Farebox. So with that, you have a lower payment, and that's good. And I know that sometimes we do have unexpected expenses. So nice to see that. That's pretty much it. I'm definitely open for questions if you have any.
Okay. I had a quick question, Supervisor. So before you, I don't know if you're going to be able to stay the whole meeting or.
Sure.
Oh, okay. Then we'll wait about the appeals for the Verizon tower.
Okay.
Okay.
I've sent unmute requests to any of the MAC members who might have a
yes,
question.
Any MAC members have a question for Supervisor Parks?
Looks like Janice has a question.
Oh, I just want to let Supervisor Parks know that I actually bought WOW, and I had 3 other community members come in with me. You buy 4 gallons at a time, and it's very concentrated. So we each divvied it up, and it was $85.25 for each of us. And they came to my house to pick it up, and I asked them to please put into Nextdoor if they really like it to pump this up, because we want to really push it in our neighborhood. I'm excited about it.
Yes, I hope it works, and it could end up, particularly if it's good for the environment and for our health, it could end up being a pilot for the rest of the county. Started by you.
Oh, Janice, where did you buy it? Where do you buy WOW?
You buy from a place called Ecomite, ECOMIGHT online.
Oh, online? Okay.
Online, you buy it, and again, it comes in 4 gallons. You get 3 neighbors to come in with you. And if you do that, it's only $85.25, and it's very concentrated.
Okay. Supervisor Parks, is Enhanced Landscaping going to charge any different to us then for using that instead of Roundup?
You know what, let me pass that on to when you're getting into your budget. I don't have the specifics, but I should have, hopefully someone does.
Okay, we'll wait for that then.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other MAC members have a question? I believe we have one public question from Dina. Dina, you could ask a quick question.
I don't have a question. I just want to thank everyone for their work on getting rid of the glyphosate. It's just so profoundly important, and thank you.
Okay, well, you're welcome. With thanks to Supervisor Parks to a large part of this, because we made sure we've been working on this. So.
And then I'm really thankful for you guys, because if you hadn't pushed for it, I don't think we would have been able to get it. So thank you so much.
That's great. It's good news. Okay. All right. If we're done, then we will move on to our next item. And let's see, that's information items. Item number 7. We already did 7A, where we got our update from the Public Health Director. 7B, yeah, Supervisor Parks, you may be able to help us on this, on the conversion of Oak Park street lights to LED bulbs. So,
you know, I think I will also defer to Chuck Alvarez on this. He's here and he has been our source of information. So I'd like to wait on that. Or actually, if that's your item, maybe he can speak to it. Are you prepared, Chuck?
On this?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'll have a quick report on this. Just by matter of a little bit of background, this LED streetlight conversion is a result of the Board of Supervisors directing the County Executive Office and PWA staff to convert all of the streetlights in CSA 4 and 14 to LEDs. They further directed that we seek to select light fixtures and lamps that minimize the lighting of neighborhood properties or the night sky, and to use lamps towards the warm side of the color spectrum. So, as a little further background, all the streetlights in the unincorporated area are owned by Southern California Edison. So these are not county-owned streetlights. There are approximately 2,400 streetlights that are being converted as we speak, and that's the total within CSA 4 and 14. The county had to contract with SCE for the LED upgrade, and SCE in turn contracted with a private vendor who's actually doing the work. At the time that we contracted for this work, SCE offered us 2 different LED light options. The first was 4,000 Kelvin, which is in the cool white side of the spectrum, and 3,000 Kelvin, which is in the warm white color spectrum. So we contracted with SCE to have the 1,000 Kelvin LED lights installed. All of these lights are GE Evolve light fixtures. This is not a new technology. These have been used for years. They are International Dark Sky Association compliant, which means the light is focused towards the ground and there's minimal light loss to the sky. These particular lights do not require the installation of light shields to be dark sky compliant. They are dark sky compliant as built. If they had needed to have shields installed to be dark sky compliant, then all of the lights installed would have shields. But that's not the case here. As of today, this office has received 6 complaints about the new LED street lights. They mostly involve people who think the light is too white. And 5 of those complaints came from Oak Park and 1 from Newbury Park. So I'm available to answer any questions you have about this program.
Okay, yeah, I had a question, Chuck. I went and looked at those lights last week after hearing about the complaints, and they didn't have shields on them, and they are pretty intense. I looked at them, and they're a lot more intense than we currently have. I was more concerned about that than the color. is there any possibility to put the shields to make it a little less intense?
Southern California Edison and GE did not recommend the routine use of shields. And the reason being is that if you put a whole shield on a street light, it essentially becomes like a beacon, more like a spotlight than a street light. And with a street light, you want enough light diffusion so that the sidewalks and the streets are adequately lighted. So they're not recommending it. They can use the use of shields in special circumstances where, say, a house is unusually close to the street light and they have problems with light entering, say, a bedroom. They do have shields that they can put along one side of the light just to address that particular issue. And they do recommend the use of shields in those types of cases. And for the 5 people who complained in Oak Park, we will be putting partial shields in to help alleviate that particular issue. So we're dealing with particular issues.
So you're not gonna change the bulb. The bulb stays. Is that right?
No, the bulb is what changes. It goes from a high pressure sodium vapor bulb to an LED fixture.
Uh-huh. Okay, but what are we gonna do with the complaint? That's my question actually.
Well, I personally met with 3 of the 5 property owners, took a look at their particular situation, took photographs so that SCE could understand the geometry of the relationship between the street light and the particular windows that were being impacted.
Yeah.
And the property owners were also kind enough to send me pictures of what they see at night. So with that, SCE agreed to install shields on those 5 properties.
Okay.
So we're addressing them on a case-by-case issue.
Okay.
So Chuck, how many installations have been completed? And when do you, are you continuing or are we on hold because of the complaint?
The community of Oak Park is currently on hold. We gave Edison permission to go ahead and move on in other areas of the unincorporated area. So those are ongoing. But we'll need to make a go, no-go decision by the end of this week, essentially.
Is there a way to reduce the wattage of the LED bulbs?
The answer is yes. However, SCE is not in the position to do that. The reason is that they have a conversion table, like you do for your household bulbs. You had a 100-watt bulb, there's an equivalent LED bulb to use. Same with street lights. So they're using a table to determine the appropriate LED street light to use.
Okay. But what about putting diffusers?
As I mentioned, the diffusers are being installed on a case-by-case basis to address particular lighting issues.
So diffusers and shields are the same. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So Chuck, you're saying a decision has to be made by tomorrow. Are you making the decision or who's making the decision? Are we talking about it as a vote here or are you making the decision?
No. Public Works will make the decision with consultation from Supervisor Parks.
Okay.
So I'm concerned is if more people start finding out, if you complain, you get a shield. I mean, is that how we're going to handle this?
The shields do come with a cost. For the first 5 people who complained, SCE said, look, we're going to do it to see if it works. No charge to us. If we start getting a lot of requests, the shields are $200 a piece. And I estimated there's approximately 760 to 850 street lights in the community of Oak Park. If we had, let's say, 760, the cost for the conversion would be somewhere in the neighborhood of $167,000.
Wow.
So it's not cheap. This is not something we want to do across the board. I'm hoping that about half of the properties in Oak Park have already been converted, and we've gotten 5 complaints. So if we only get a dozen more complaints, it's a relatively small amount of money, and we can absorb that. If we start doing it across the board, then the cost obviously goes up considerably. Now, this should be done on a case-by-case basis.
Agree.
Okay. All right. If that's it, anybody else in the MAC?
Well, I guess I was wondering, Chuck, will you notify us like after you make the or at when a decision is made so that we can respond to residents?
well, Supervisor Park's office will know. So
Okay.
whatever decision the supervisor makes, we'll certainly follow.
But I was wondering about notification. Supervisor Parks, will you notify us?
I think everything is a go unless something gets stopped, right? And from what I understand, to stop this, Public Works is concerned that it would be an additional expense to the county of some potentially considerable amount of money. So I feel like we could contact you if something happens. I did put this on the agenda. I did want you to be able to hear about it. It is an issue that has been raised in your community.
Right.
I truthfully have some concerns with waiting for the first 5 and they get it free. And that's because, I mean, frankly, I have this in my house and I didn't know to get one. Not because of these lights, they just have lights shining right into it, and they were gracious enough to come out, and I don't think I paid for that. But the idea that I didn't know about that for the first few years I lived here, and then I found out, hooray, we could do that. But I'm just thinking there may be a lot of people out there who are dissatisfied but don't know that they could have had a shield put on for free. So I'm a little worried about the equity issue on something that we're not notifying people about, and yet those who kind of have an inside track or know get the free shield.
Right.
On the other hand, if nobody's complaining, then how are we to know? So I can totally understand why Public Works is going on the basis that, well, the people who have complained, we, kind of fix that problem with the shield. But I want this to be something that you can give me your opinion on. Right now, they have a plan that says, go forward. We get those 5 complaints or whatever, we'll take care of those, and we'll go on to Casa Caneo out in Newbury Park and see how many complaints we get there and deal with those shields there.
Well,
it's hard to say no. You're essentially saying continue with the more unenvironmental way of lighting, a more expensive way of lighting. And they say this is not only dark sky compliant with our codes, but actually international dark sky compliant. It just makes you wonder why, if there's so much concern that it has actually prevented people from seeing the stars when they could see them with the previous lights.
Linda, yeah, Supervisor Parks, I understand the savings is not that much as we thought. I mean, I think I heard it's only about $9,000 savings. Is that annual? Because I found those lights pretty intense. So is it possible to not change any further lights for now, or that's not an option?
Is that something your MAC would like to see, not to have them? To bring them back, to come back and do this program after we stopped it would be pretty difficult to do.
I don't know.
And I know, for example, I think Alon, has been not knowing what the impact would be on the ground, but has always been a proponent of seeing that we have the more environmental LED lights.
No, I remember that a big savings in the energy. We were talking about LEDs, but if equivalent power LEDs power, and we're not saving as much, and that's not the benefit I was looking for. But besides that, and I think I had one installed on our street, and it's I like it that it's brighter. I mean, I can, our cars are parked. We don't want anybody roaming around our cars at night, and when it's brighter, and it deters thieves. So I'm happy about that. Another point of view on that, that's you're sleeping in your room. I mean, what does it matter if it's it's probably safer.
This is Chuck. To address the issue of savings were important. The cost savings to the CSA are an important consideration. But the board, at the time they adopted this policy, also wanted to reduce the county's carbon footprint. They wanted to reduce the amount of energy that the county used. And these street lights do comply with those guidelines that were set by the board. The reason you're not seeing as much savings from energy is because the new tariff that we're paying for the streetlights to Southern California Edison includes cost recovery for the installation of the new fixture, for ongoing maintenance, etc. So, you know, that's why you're not seeing as much energy savings cost-wise, dollar-wise, as you might otherwise. But as far as environmental impact, this definitely reduces the environmental impact these lights have on the community and on the county's carbon footprint.
So do you have the net savings cost for that on a yearly basis, Chuck?
The estimate, the only estimate I have was from 2016, and obviously the costs are not the same today as in 2016. But it was in the neighborhood of probably under $10,000 a year.
Okay.
Chuck, this is Janice. I have a couple questions.
Sure.
Was there any, because Oak Park is not spread out, you know, we're closely together as a community. What kind of impact with having so much of this intense light is going to have on wildlife? Because we have owls, we have nightlife around here. And number two, has it ever been established that if you look directly into this bright LED, which you would have to if you're driving around at night, does this affect eyesight in any way?
I'm not an expert in any of that, so I would have to defer to experts on that. What I can tell you is the fact that they are dark sky compliant would imply to me that they are friendly to wildlife. Part of the problem that I think people are having with the difference in this new lighting is that it's more directional and less diffuse than the old lighting that it's replacing. It's more focused to the ground, so the intensity seems higher to people that are closer to the light. If you were to look at a line of these lights, all you would see would be a gentle glow up in the distance. Very little light escapes up skyward from these. It's all directed down. So I think the fact that it's so intensely focused on the ground leads to the perception that it's really brighter than it is. Lumen-wise, which is the measure of the intensity of light, is probably lower with an LED than it is with the more conventional streetlights.
Okay.
I am concerned about the ambiance that we have in our community, and this is part of the ambiance, is the lighting. And I'm not sure what it would be, jumping hoops, Supervisor Parks, to try to stop this? Would be jumping.
The question is, what do we do to stop it?
What the costs were. I can address that if you like.
Please.
Yes, Public Works works with these kind of construction contractor type contracts all the time. What happens is SCE entered into a contract with a contractor to install these lights on their behalf. If we go in and we tell them, we don't want you to proceed with this contract, then it's a change order. And there's costs associated with doing a change order. In this case, if those crews can't be reassigned somewhere else to work, then we would be responsible for paying them essentially not to do the work.
Well, no, I have to disagree. I'm not sure about that logic, because a change order just means that you go in and you say, okay, we're not going to do this work. You have it on a schedule. Yes, you do have to reschedule, but you're going to have to also have a reduction in cost for that change order. So there may be an aggregate amount coming out of this, but I don't see it costing us more money to do it.
Well, there will be a cost if we tell them, if we contracted, if the contract says we want you to replace 2,400 streetlights, and then we tell them, essentially we're a week away from the contract being completed. If we tell them at this point, no, don't do it, we still owe them for that time that they otherwise could have contracted with somebody else to do work.
We may owe for the time, but we don't, you know, just for the, not for that whole time, but we may, and it's all negotiations. And I don't want to get into it because I don't want to use up everybody's time here, but I would actually see the contract and the terms and conditions of that contract if I can help out in any way.
I can't put it to you because we're not a party to it. It's SCE and this contractor.
So guys, we have a question for us. Do we support the go signal for this? Because the deadline for that is tomorrow. Should we?
I would like to make a motion that we get a hold put on this, and I'd like to see more of the numbers of what it was the aggregate numbers that come out of this. I like to put a hold on it.
Can we do that, Linda? Make a motion on this?
It's on your agenda, and so hearing from you is really important to me. And if they're going to be taking my thoughts are going to reflect what your thoughts are. So
Okay.
whether it's a motion or not, hearing from you and what you think about it is the key for me.
So this is my my thoughts on this. We're 50% into the job. There's only 5 complaints or so, and there is a mitigation if there is, you know, if it is over, I would say, if the light is too much for a family, for a person, that you can put diffuser, you can put those blinds or whatever they call it, the blockers. If that is the case, my decision and my recommendation is to do it for Oak Park.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Jill. Jane, do you have any comments on that?
Vanessa, she's
yeah, she has to unmute me. Thank you. I think we have a motion on the floor from Janice before we
I want to
say what JL's saying.
Right, because I'm looking at the numbers here, and Chuck has given us, like, if we have many more, we don't have a crystal ball here. We do not know how many people are going to come in and complain. We don't know. I do question the wildlife, how it's going to affect the wildlife, because wildlife flies, goes under this light at night. I do think it's going to affect our wildlife. I also think it's going to affect eyes. And people, if they can't get this, they can't afford it, they're going to go without sleep. So we're talking $167,000 to fix this. Is it going to cost $167,000 to stop it? I mean, I got to see what the trade-off is here. And I'm not seeing it. And I feel like we're under pressure to say yes or no. We don't have the numbers in front of us.
So what I heard is that to put some of these diffusers or blockers is about 200 per light, not 167,000.
No. If we have, he said that if we have enough people coming in with complaints, and he's basing it on, I think it's 760 complaints, that we would get a cost of $167,000 we have to pay. We would have to pay that. So
agree.
if I pay money out, I'd rather not pay money out to have it put in.
However, the data says also that we're done 50% on this, right, Chuck? And we only got 5 complaints.
No, they're not 50% done. I can.
So how many are we done? How much has been worked on, Chuck, before the stop order? Is it?
Venice, I believe I sent you a map that SCE sent to us that has all the streetlights proposed for conversion.
Yeah, I've got that, but that really still doesn't help me with the number. I mean,
but what's the percentage though?
I just feel like we're whoops.
Oh, okay. Somebody started sharing. All right.
Oh, there.
Can you zoom in on the portion of the map that shows Oak Park, please?
Yeah, and it's showing where they're putting it, but you see that how it's all around near homes? I mean, Oak Park is homes. We're homes. We're not spaced out in big country fields, okay? We're
I'm just trying to address your question about how many of the streetlights have been converted. The red outline, the black area there towards the center of the screen shows Oak Park.
Okay.
That area shows the area that's where the streetlights conversions have been completed. So that's how I based my estimate that approximately half the lights have been converted already.
All right. I think it makes sense. The estimate looks good. Yeah, 50%-ish. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think Jill, you have a good point that if close to 50% has been done, and it has been done for a couple of weeks now, and only 5 complaints, then you know.
We cannot assume that that's where it's going to stop, because they're counting on. They know that things have been put on hold. Okay, that's known. Things have been put on hold, so they could just be waiting to see what's going to happen out of this. Can we stop it? Can we pull it back? I think this is something that needs to be addressed to the community. I don't think we have enough information to say, go ahead. I think we could be paying $167,000 for something we don't want.
Okay.
That's my point of view.
So Janice, what motion are you making?
I would like to, and I know this is going to put pressure on Chuck, and I'm sorry, Chuck, but this seems like it happened so quickly and so fast, and I didn't even realize it was a problem until Jan sent me the information on the LED. I posted it next door, and all of a sudden things exploded in next door about this. Many people were complaining that they were driving down Conifer and this darn light shine. They had to actually use their visor at night to drive down Conifer because of these lights. So they're waiting for us to come up with some sort of solution. And if we just say, well, we're going to go ahead and do this, they're going to say, well, where were you, Mac? What were you doing? What were you saying? I think that we represent the community. I'm not representing me. I'm saying what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing. I feel like we're being pressured into this right now. And this could cost us money to try to fix it so everybody's happy. Whereas we've got the ambience 50% of you want to market, because they're waiting on us. The people that are in that 50% zone is waiting on us. What are you going to do to fix this? Can we take it out? There's a lot of questions. Can we get back our old light? And Chuck says, no, you can't. Once it's done, it's done.
All right.
I just have a concern here, and yeah, I'll make a motion, but I'm not sure if anybody will second me or if I'm just ranting on here.
No, it's okay. You can motion so that we can all express our vote, and then at least Supervisor Parks would have some information on what do we recommend, right?
Okay, go ahead, Janice.
Okay, so I would like to make a motion that we table the conversions of the LED lights at this time to get more information of what it would take, the aggregate number, to cancel out on this contract.
Okay, does anybody like to second it? Okay, I don't think we have a second, Janice.
Well, I tried.
Okay, all right. Good, thanks for trying. Well, I guess then that's the end of that item, and we will look for more. We'll follow it along. I mean, let's see what happens with this. I mean, I think we'll hear more about it.
I do want to add one comment though at the end. I was on mute the whole time. I couldn't speak, but can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just want to say just quickly that in my view is that they should have planned the light output a little bit more carefully before they selected the fixtures. They should have at least consulted the MAC at that time.
I agree.
But that's number one. Number two, if some areas of Oak Park feel that it's too bright for them and there is a fix, I think that you should consult with Edison at this time before continuing the work, possibly letting them know that the MAC, the city was, Oak Park was not consulted with the lights. They're too bright. If there's going to be issues, we're either going to have, we're going to want that Southern California Edison fixes them at their cost. We don't want to pay for, if there's going to be 5 or 10 or 25 complaints, whoever complains, whoever's got the street light right above their bedroom window is a legitimate complaint, and they should get the lights, diffusers on them, and it should not cost not the MAC and not anybody else. Because the right thing to do was to ask the MAC to put a sample street, with what the light should look like, and make sure that the neighborhoods and Oak Park approves the light. And the Southern California Edison did not do that, and I think we should not be responsible for any fees. We have a fix. I don't think we should stop. We're already halfway there. Get it done. But if people complain, Edison should pay to just cover them up. That's my opinion.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I think I agree with that, Alon, that, I think Edison should help pay for that.
Yeah.
May I say something? This is Chuck.
Yes. Chuck.
Yes.
As I mentioned in my introductory remarks, SCE owns streetlights. SCE had only 2 options that we had: warm white or cool white. We had no input on the fixtures. As a rule, Edison doesn't give communities input on the fixtures. They operate hundreds of thousands of streetlights in their area. And for uniformity, They have a limited number of fixtures and a limited number of lighting options. So if we wanted to go to LED, this was the option we had.
Right, I understand that, but the color output, the 3,000 or 4,000 is not the only choice. They should have also consulted the wattage and the output. And I understand they're using conversion charts, but sometimes LEDs are known to be brighter, and maybe their conversion charts are not 100% accurate. And this happens very often with LEDs. So there is room. What I'm saying is there is room for argument from our side. I mean, our side, the Oak Park area, and if we want our area to be slightly dimmer or not as strong, I'm not talking about color of the light, talking about the output. They should have they should have thought about that. It's their business, they're professionals, they should have thought about that in advance, and they didn't. We have complaints, they should just address them, period. I mean, that's it. We're paying for their services. We're paying just like any contractor, where you contracted for any contractor for any work. If you're not happy, if there is something that they have to fix, they fix it. That's the way it is.
Right.
Anyway, that's just my opinion. But
Okay.
Chuck, it's all in your hand. You need to basically fight for us. In case there is any complaints, you just need to convince Southern California that they have to fix it. That's it, at their expense. I don't think it's going to be many. If you got 5 and half, you might get 5 or 10 more. They should just do it.
Yep. Okay. I think we're going to move on then. I think we discussed that, and I think Chuck and Linda and Supervisor Parks know how we feel now. Okay, so let's move on. We have a lot to go on to. Item 8, public
Smiling
comments.
What?
She's smiling too. I hope that's a good smile.
It's democracy, and I really appreciate it. I think you have a really wise point that, they should be paying for it. It's not going to be probably a lot as it occurs. I also got a comment that this really benefits more like outsiders. I could just see like if you're flying an airplane, that you may see a reduction in light spillage from Oak Park as a result of this. However, the residents are getting more. And like Janice said, the owl that's within that is going to be affected, but they'll be better off if they're outside of those lights because it'll be darker now. So it's kind of a toss up. And I also agree that, boy, LED lights are so bright. They are actually, mountain bikers that use them in the open space, they have become like making it into daylight, and it is messing up the wildlife. And the idea that they could have used a less intense wattage, that would have made all the difference in the world. And all of a sudden I'm getting complaints from Casa Conejo, and why? It's because they've started doing it there too. So it's an automatic reaction because they are just way too bright. That's what we're hearing. Thank you all. Appreciate the comments. It helped a lot.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, we're going on to public comments.
Eric, I sent you an unmute request.
Okay, Derek Ross, is he next?
Yes, there you go. Perfect.
Okay, hello. Hi, Derek.
Hi, I'm Derek Ross. I'm the representative from the Oak Park Unified School District. I don't have anything specific to communicate to the MAC. I'm also a previous MAC member, and it was nice to see another one of my former MAC members, and Dina Perry, join on the call. And I think it shows you that we're all still very connected to our communities. The Oak Park Unified School District has been very hard at work dealing with several different issues, one of which being the state budget. We have been bottlenecked by Governor Newsom in his most recently put forth budget to us, where we're making some very challenging budget cuts. Of recent, we had to lay off over 100 of our employees because we're having to reduce our budget by, I believe it's 7.7%, which represents well over $3 million. We had our study session last night for several hours, trying to figure out exactly what we're going to do in terms of the funding. The state legislature has been pushing back against the governor, and hopefully they can resolve some issues prior to us having to approve our budget on the 30th of this month. We're also trying to navigate through the COVID-19 reentry process to begin school, which is right around the corner on August the 9th or August the 10th, I believe. We have regular meetings. Funny enough, over the last few months, we have been having our school board meetings instead of once a month. They have been almost every single Tuesday night. So I'm a bit jealous of the Municipal Advisory Council that you haven't held a meeting since February. We have been extremely hard at work, and we have engaged in our re-entry committee meetings for two purposes. The first purpose is to develop the necessary protocols to get our schools open in a safe and healthy way. We also follow the guidelines of the state of California and the Ventura County, working with the same doctor the other gentleman was just communicating about. And the second committee is specific to the curriculum portion of the school district. And what we have so far figured out is that we are opening. We are limited to 50% occupancy on our schools, which you can imagine creates a whole new dynamic, because we cannot just open our schools to all of the families and all of the students that we would like to. So our goal is, and we are still fine-tuning this process. Many of you know that we were the first school in the county to have a graduation because we end the earliest, but we also open up the soonest. So we are working with our counterparts, our neighboring school districts, to fine-tune our program. As of right now, we have three options. One option is a hybrid, which is students will, depending upon the grade level, whether it's elementary, middle school, or high school, they're all a little bit different. But the essential nuance is that students will come a few days during the week and have distance learning the other days. The second option is 100% distance learning for families or students that feel that coming back to campus does not meet their specific concerns in terms of health and safety. And then the third option, as always has existed, is our fantastic independent school, Oak Park Independent School, and going on to an independent study program. So we had a meeting this past Tuesday. The days seem to run together because there's so much going on. We will have another meeting the following Tuesday, and thereafter we have another school board meeting at the end of this month on the 30th, which is the last and final day that we have to approve our final budget. We are again guided by the Ed Code, which forces us to solidify and approve our budget prior to July 1st. We're hoping that there's going to be movement in the California State Legislature to provide more funding to school districts. We are not the only school district in the state of California that has been put into a position where our normal budget has been cut. These cuts are drastic. They're affecting school districts across the country. And I would certainly push forward to any of you that can pick up the phone or drop an email or a letter to the legislature asking them to support our school districts and provide more funding for our students. They are the future, and we need to support them in every which way we can. Outside of that, I don't have any other comments. I'm certainly willing to take on any questions that you have. I will be reporting back some of the items that you all have brought up in today's meeting to our school board later in the month. So with that said, if there's anything that I can answer, I'm more than glad. I appreciate all that you do. As I said, I served on this Municipal Advisory Council as well. And what you guys do and how you do it is very, very important to the community of Oak Park. And that would
So I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So isn't there the foundation, the educational foundation? What's the relationship been like with them, and what is the potential of them funding the school based on the requirements?
So if I understand your question correctly, you're asking what the relationship between the Oak Park Education Foundation and the Oak Park Unified School District is. They are a completely separate entity, and they have their own board that guides them and drives their decision making. We obviously work hand in hand with that organization, and they have been very helpful in funding different programs over the years. In the last year, they have funded aides in our elementary schools. They have funded counselors at the middle school, and I believe also at the elementary schools. Funding for the Oak Park Education Foundation has been challenging over the last few years. And at this point, we are working with them to figure out where they can potentially fill in some of the gaps that our budget has at the moment.
Right.
I can't tell you what those things are because I don't sit on that board. I know they do meet regularly, but what I can tell you is based upon their normal funding model, whatever they're able to provide to us will be a drop in the bucket to the $3+ million that we need to shave off of our existing budget. And we appreciate all of their hard work and their help, but we've got a difficult road that we have to travel ahead. I hope that answers your question, Mr. Diaz.
No, I understand. Thank you.
Okay. I just wanted to thank the school and the school board for opening up the high school tennis courts. I understand they opened up this last weekend. And do you know how is the track open to the public?
So I don't know the exact answer about the track. It's not something that I have looked into in the last week or so. I can tell you that the school district's #1 priority is the health and safety of the students and of our community. And I see Linda Parks on here. Linda Parks understands the challenges that we're faced with the county and having public property and making sure, in the Park District, same with Rancho Simi, making sure that we are protecting those that use these facilities. We had been communicating about opening the tennis courts for some time. And you may have seen a letter in the Acorn talking about the tennis courts. The tennis courts were already going to be open before that letter was sent to the Acorn. So the timing was rather ominous because we had already decided they were going to be open. I can't speak about the track, but you can certainly reach out to Dr. Knight, and I know that he can give you a response. What I do know, and I know our students and our families are excited, that effective July 6th, we are starting to have our student athletics begin to train. I can only speak for the football team and not other sports at this time, but I know the football team, and we have a great football team. We had a fantastic season last year, and our team players are eager to get back out there, and I'm sure parents are eager to get their kids back out there socializing and playing. So I do believe that there's going to be a loosening of the public areas over the next short period of time. I just can't give you an exact answer at this moment.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. Great. Okay. I think
You're unmuted, Janice.
Oh, Janice? Go
You
ahead.
are.
Okay. First of all, I love that marquee, the prank on the marquee. Oh, that was awesome. I put it on my Facebook. Everybody loved it. We got some real bright students. We got some bright students. Questions, twofold. How does this COVID or this budget cut that we got to address, how is that going to affect the district of choice? And also, are we seeing an increase in homeschooling?
Okay. The second part, I can't answer now because we don't know. We just don't know. Until we put out our final plans, this is what we're doing, begin registration. It's hard for us to gauge exactly what parents will be and won't be doing. But as I mentioned, the third part of our plan, which is the Oak Park Independent School, that would be your independent school homeschooling program. And we're very proud of this program. It has been a very effective program, and we've had many people graduate from Opus going on to Ivy League schools and great schools. The first part of your question, in regards to DOC, the District of Choice program continues to be very well received, meaning we had, prior to COVID-19, we had another high registration limit. We are passing anyone off. We are not denying anyone coming into our schools. We wish that we had more young families, that we're moving into our community and having children in our community. But for those of us that have lived here for some time, I'm now a 15+ year resident. Once you have moved to Oak Park, you don't leave Oak Park. And what you see is you see not a lot of turnaround in home ownership, in people that would normally leave their homes and move on. People stay in Oak Park. And those of you that know me, I was one of the co-authors of our book, The Oak Images of Oak Park. Our cover girl, Miss Domenico, who we've spent a lot of time learning about, and she shared many photos with us. She still is in this community and will stay in this community. And I see other people who are in our community, whether it's David Ross, who is one of the original members of this Oak Park Municipal Advisory Council and on the school district. People who live here, stay here. So it's hard for us to know exactly what is going to happen in August. What we do know is that the challenges of COVID-19 are challenges that our school district and no other school district has ever faced before, similar to the challenges that Linda Parks, Supervisor Parks, is dealing with on a regular basis. And there's no playbook, there is no handbook that we're able to open up and reference. Well, go to page 5 for this, go to page 28 for that. We're learning, and we're doing the very best that we can given the circumstances that we're dealing with. What I can tell you is that there are many, many changes that our school district will make in order to keep our children, our parents, and people who come onto our campuses safe. And a lot of people are going to, it's going to be difficult for many people to understand, such as we're not going to allow people to just come on campus as they used to. We are probably going to have less aides or no aides in the classrooms right now. We have to limit the contact. What Dr. Knight, and we have a fantastic superintendent, has identified is that no matter what we do, no matter how many precautionary measures we put into place, there is going to be a risk. We cannot eliminate all the risk. And that is a scary thing when you're in the business of school children. So we are doing everything we can, everything in our power to minimize that risk. But no matter how hard we think, and we have got an amazing brain trust of individuals, that risk will be there. We are doing everything we can to mitigate it. The odds are when we open up the schools, we will probably have someone or several people test positive for COVID. There is no way of getting around it. The question is, how are we going to deal with it and how resilient will we be? Our goal is to avoid opening the school up and then having to close it back. This has been a challenge, not only for the students, but for parents, for families. I have 2 young children, one going into the middle school and one into the elementary school. From a social standpoint, it has been very hard on these 2 young daughters that I have. We're very lucky that we have great kids, but it's been challenging on them, challenging on us as parents. By no means did my wife and I ever want to be homeschool teachers to our kids. And that is what we did not sign up for, and that is what we have become. So we are working very, very hard. And I want the community to know that what we're doing, we take very seriously. And we are very lucky for the leadership and the dedication that we have of our school district. We feel that we are one of the best school districts, not only in the county, but in California and in the nation. And it's our parents, our teachers. Our teachers are fantastic. We're extremely lucky of the people that we have. And we're going to do this right. And we're going to do it in a thoughtful, gracious way that protects everyone, student, parent, visitor, that we can. I hope that answers your question. I know it was a little long-winded. Sorry, Ms. Smith.
And I loved everything you said, Derek. I loved everything you said.
Thank you. Thank you, Derek. You're a great advocate for Oak Park schools.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Chandra. Thank you very much.
We appreciate your comments today. Thank you.
It shows you can take the individual out of the MAC, but you can't take the MAC out of the individual.
Thank you, Supervisor Parks. I do appreciate that. We've worked together for many, many years, and you've been a very strong ally of the school district. And yeah, thank you for supporting us, and we support you too.
Thanks for your good work. What difficult times when you think about, the idea of bringing the students back and the potential of getting COVID on campus. And Good luck. Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll move on to our next public comment. We have William Liu to speak with us next.
Yes.
William?
He's unmuted. And Nini, you're unmuted.
Hello, William.
There you go. Hi. And
Good
where's
afternoon. I am Nini too.
Okay.
There's William.
Okay, first we'll have William.
Oh, they're together.
Oh, they're together.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
William and Nini, go ahead.
William, do you want me to pull up your PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay. I will do that.
All right, great. Nice to see you, William and Nini.
Okay.
Good afternoon. I am Nini too. I'm William Liu.
Hello.
I just want to follow up on my proposal to add trash cans on Cannon Road that I submitted on February 25th, 2020 MAC meeting. What is your decision or next steps?
Okay. Thank you, William. Yes, I remember you.
William, just let me know when you want to go to the next slide, okay?
Okay, I'll go to the next slide.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you want
Our new
to?
proposal is to
Sorry, William. Sorry, William. Hold on. So you have a question about a follow-up on what we did to your proposal, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to address that, Seema, first?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe Jan had responded to this. I'm gonna have to go back and look at what Jan responded since it was several months ago. Does anyone remember exactly what the decision was on this?
Well, why don't we go ahead with the rest of their presentation? I'll see if I can dig something up in the meantime to answer that.
Okay.
I'll go to the next slide then.
Our new proposal is to grow water lilies and Medea Creek.
Okay.
Okay.
This map shows where we will grow water lilies. We'll grow them near Confer and Parkview Drive under the bridge.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, you unmuted. Okay.
Yeah, sorry about
There you
that. This is why we should grow water lilies at the creek. Is the current issue is that the water is dirty and it isn't pleasant for the local residents and kids walking and playing around. And animals don't want to live there because there is no place to hide from predators. The solution is growing water lilies because it looks very pretty. It covers the unclean plants at the top like algae, and it helps keep the algae growth down by blocking out sunlight. It also keeps the water clear and clean looking by absorbing nutrients in the water that would normally feed the algae. Their shade gives respite from the sunlight and any possible predators to fish and other small animals in the creek. Next slide. This is just for reference, how to grow water lilies. So we just need to get approval for the project and volunteers can raise funds for it. So to grow water lilies, you just use a large ceramic pot with several holes punched in the sides and bottom. You fill the pot with within 3 inches of the top with silt, loam, or clay soil, and mix in a small amount of slow-release fertilizer labeled for use with aquatic soil. And you plant the rhizome close to one side of the pot at a 45-degree angle with the eye pointing up. You cover the soil with a layer of pea gravel, keeping the gravel away from the top of the rhizome as much as possible. Place the pot in the bottom of the pool, adjusting the depth to that recommended for your specific variety. Most call for a depth of between 6 to 18 inches. If necessary, you can raise the depth by planting the pot on top of several rocks. So right now we just need approval for it to put them in and grow them.
Okay, very nice presentation. Thank you, both of you. So Supervisor Parks, is that in our jurisdiction, or is that Rancho Simi, or is that the water district?
That's a good question. It depends on whose property it is on. And I really like the proposal. That is just sounds beautiful. That, you know, as far as the water is. So, do you know whose property it is on?
Well,
it's community property since it's the Medea Creek.
Okay, then it's probably Watershed Protection District. So we can ask them about it and get back to you. And regarding the trash cans, as I understand, let's see. I think you haven't had a MAC meeting since they brought their proposal forward. So this hasn't actually been on your agenda to discuss whether you support it or don't support it. I would imagine the issue will be who will maintain those trash cans. And I don't know exactly what the answer to that would be. And that usually comes down to, is it going to be a homeowners association perhaps that they would be willing to pay for the cost of the trash truck to come empty the trash cans, or if that would have to be another cost borne by, I guess, the MAC. I don't know if the community service district could pay for that, because you just, that's the real question. I know particularly near schools and such, you'll find a lot of trash, and if you have a trash can, you feel like, you know, people won't be throwing it on the ground. So I think it's a good idea, but one that needs a little bit of research, and I don't think the MAC has had an opportunity to discuss. So it's good that you brought it back to their attention. And if the MAC would like to go further on this, I'm happy to, you know, we could put that on your agenda. And then secondly, I will follow up with the Watershed Protection District about the potential for having water lilies. And it wouldn't be in the creek, right? Would it be in the pond in the park?
No, it's in, they were saying at the creek.
It's in
the creek itself, because I
Mm-hmm.
know their concern is to make sure that there's flow. So when it rains, you know, the water flows and it doesn't get stopped up with vegetation. So they usually discourage vegetation in the creeks themselves, because they are the flood control conveyance, you know, where all the rainwater ends up. So I'm still happy to look and see if that's something that they could do, if they find that it wouldn't block water from flowing, because if it gets blocked, you end up having flooding, and that's just to avoid flooding. But, you know, I don't know if it could occur in the duck pond. That would be somewhere you could put it in a stationary source.
Yeah. Oh, we were thinking about that too, but William decided.
Maybe we can ask the park district. I will still follow up with the Watershed Protection District, but maybe the park district might be a better place, because it's a stationary. It's not there to. It's not a flood control system. Maybe it is. Let's look into it.
Okay.
So Supervisor Parks, there are trash cans associated in that location on the other side of the street with all of the cane and shuttle stops. So there are new trash cans and recycling cans on the other side of the street. But I think William was saying in the February meeting that he wants it on the side of the street where the high school is, correct? In Starbucks? There are new trash cans on the other side of the street.
Okay, so maybe in association with the shuttle stops.
Correct. There are brand new ones. There are many along the way that are newly installed, but they're on the other side of the street from where William was suggesting.
Okay, well that if there's already precedent for it, boy, that could happen. So let me look. Is the MAC happy with me looking into that?
That'd be great.
Yes.
Okay, absolutely. What a great idea. Thank you, both of you.
And then also, did somebody say that RSRPD is meeting tonight? I mean, Janice, can you bring up the water lily concept to them tonight?
I think it would be a good idea if I get an email from Nini and William to their suggestion so that I can forward it and ask it to put it on the agenda.
Or maybe they could speak at public comments and on Zoom at public comments. Do you think they might be able to do that just like they did here?
I don't know how this is going to work. I'm really confused myself on their next meeting, which is proposed, I believe, July something that we're discussing right now. We really wanted to postpone it. There's like three of us that want to postpone it, but if not, I'm not sure if that's going to happen. So
Okay.
I think it's going to be by Zoom. I think the public is going to be invited. So as soon as I find out, I can, I post it next door, but I would need to get contact with William and Nina to let them know when it's going to be and how they can bring their proposal.
Okay, maybe.
And then also Monday is the Triumpho board meeting. I'll be at Monday, so I can definitely bring up the water lily idea at ask the question at the board meeting on Monday.
So Nina and William, do you have my email address?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I'd be happy to send an email.
Okay. Give my email address. I think it's posted on the website.
Okay.
Okay, that's great. William and Nini, maybe you can, go ahead and email to Janice Metz, and then Jane Nye is also going to bring it up at the water board
on Monday, Monday the 22nd.
So maybe you can email it to her also. Both of their emails are on the Oak Park MAC website.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and you guys did a great job. Really nice to see students in Oak Park taking interest in things and making
I'm going into Medea Creek next year, so it's nice to meet you.
You want those water lilies.
Great, thank you guys.
Awesome.
Thank you both for coming and speaking to us and taking the time. We appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay.
We'll have, Denise will send the MAC, the PowerPoint that you guys did. So you all have the PowerPoint for your own records. And we'll get back to you on what they say about the trash cans, or maybe you'll just see them out there in a few weeks.
Okay. Is it okay if I leave now?
Yes, thank you. You guys can go.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, Venice, is there any other public comment?
I don't have any.
Okay, great. Let's move on to number 9, council comments. We'll start with Alon. Alon, are you over there?
Yes, I don't have any comments.
Okay, great. JL?
No comment.
Okay, moving along. Jane?
I do. I have quite a few comments. So I'm a new director on the Triumpho Water and Sanitation District. I'm sorry, my dogs are barking. I apologize. I just want to mention that the website, the TWSD website, has been updated, and the Pure Water Project is making a lot of great progress. So they're going to have a tour and ribbon cutting for the demo facility on Las Virgenes. September 11th is scheduled for. And the pilot plant is the precursor for a $100 million water purification plant that'll be completed by 2030. So it's going to provide 1.6 billion gallons of water per year of locally sourced drinking water. It's a huge improvement to what we'll be getting. My second topic is the JPA, which is the Joint Powers Administration. It's Las Virgenes Municipal Water District and Triumpho together. And the good news is that the composting facility is back up and running. And that's good news. It was destroyed. The facility was destroyed in the Woolsey fire. And it's just been back up and running. And a lot of people like to drive up and provide their own containers and get compost. It's really great facility. It's good to do a tour there as well, but so composting is back up and running. And then Callega's interconnect project and pumping station on Landero that we had gotten several presentations on. I talked to Dan Drugan, from Callegas, and he reported that the project's still in the final design phase. We thought that construction would start this summer, but he doesn't have an estimate at this point of when the construction is going to start, but as soon as he does, he'll send me an email. And then another topic, I have 3 more topics, sorry. I attended the 2020 Las Virgenes Municipal Water District International Women's Day event in March, and that was just before the COVID-19 stopped public gatherings. What was really exciting, it was the 3rd annual International Women's Day event with that group, and 3 women mayors spoke about their experiences. So the mayors from Agoura, Calabasas, and Westlake Village all attended and spoke and talked about how they got into office and what their experiences have been like having children and running for office. We also have a 4th woman mayor from Malibu, but she wasn't able to attend. And I spoke as one of the new directors for Triumfo. I wanted to give an update on the Verizon Tower. I think it's on the agenda, but I wanted to give a bit of an update. The temporary cell on wheels has been removed from behind Churchwood Drive, and the Kilbourne site is now operating. Again, it had damage during the fire, and the repairs were completed. So I think we have the topic for the new Verizon Tower, and that the hearing was held just at the beginning of COVID-19. So I think only 1 resident actually showed up in Ventura County for that hearing. And that person also submitted an appeal, Mr. Lilly, David Lilly, and he submitted an appeal. It cost him $1,000 to submit that appeal. And I think on the agenda it says that the Planning Commission will hear that appeal on August 27th. And I have one final thing, Janice. This is something that you may be interested in. Gled Karpinski, one of our residents, complained about what's going on in May Boyer Park. He sent me a message and also copied Dan Paranek, and Dan's been on the phone with them several times. He's concerned about the caution tape that is put up to restrict the use of the playground equipment, and the swings at May Boyer Park continues to get torn down. So Dan and I talked about it. He may bring it up in your meeting today, but in general, the parks continues to put up the tape, and it continues to be removed at May Boyer. I live near Valley View Park, and there is no tape up on the parks there, so there's really no consistency across the parks on whether the play areas are open or closed. I believe Dan Paranek told me yesterday that they're supposed to be closed, and he is going to be putting up signs and also asking the rangers to go around and remind the children that it's closed.
Okay.
That's it for me. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Jane, for all those updates. Very good. Okay. Janice, do you have any comments?
No comment.
Okay. And I don't have any specific comments either. Just wanted to say I'm concerned about, Oak Park and our small businesses, hoping they'll be okay during this whole lockdown, and, encourage everyone to, if you can, at least go to our restaurants and help them out if you can. Okay. Moving on to written communications. I think we already discussed some, like from a few of the residents like Glenn, and about the LED lights. 10A, we are talking about the appeal, the Planning Commission appeal for the Verizon wireless facility. Linda, Supervisor Parks, is there anything we need to discuss there?
I would point out that if the appellant wins, he receives his money back. So I know it is expensive. I think we've actually reduced it at one point. I was able to get it reduced to what it is. So it used to be more. But
he was asking other residents to help pay, but I believe only one other person chipped in $100.
And so there is that potential that he could be completely refunded if he wins. And also because it could be up to me, I can't say much about it. I did want to comment for Jane regarding the Triumphal Sanitation District Pier project. It is not without its controversy, and it's not a project that I'm a fan of.
Well, and in order to support it and fund it, we did vote to raise the rates in Oak Park. And that was a tough decision as well, especially during COVID-19 when people are struggling to pay their bills.
And the project is just an incredibly expensive project. Was it $500 million or something? It just for Triumphant Sanitation District to push something like that. And then the objective of it is just to filter our sewer water and turn it into drinking water. And there are still still concerns, for example, for pharmaceuticals that they can't filter those out of the water. So you see there's only so much you can do with cleaning to really pure water. So that.
Don't say that because I volunteered to drink it during the demo.
Good.
Oh my goodness.
But another thing, Supervisor Parks, is we are participating with Stanford University on tracking COVID cases. So they are taking samples, I don't know whether it's daily or weekly, and submitting them to Stanford University, and they're saying that we can track the spread of COVID via the water
Sewer?
treatment plant.
Oh.
Yes. Through waste. So we're participating there.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, that's it for written communications. We're on to advisory matters, now to the budget. So everyone have their look through the budget for our coming fiscal year. And so any MAC members want to have any comments on the budget?
Well, actually, this is Deborah Cavaletto. I'd like to just kind of give you a little overview before we have comments, because this is going to be a little different than in the past.
Okay, please. Yeah, go ahead.
They passed what we call the recommended budget. And usually every year that we're required to have a budget passed or recommended be approved by the board by June 30th. Due to COVID and other uncertainties about the state and federal funding, they postponed it now to September and October. So what happened is just on Tuesday, the board passed what we call the recommended budget, which is the budget that I presented before you that gives us appropriations to continue to work until the budget is approved in September or I think September, October. That being said, we've been contacted. I haven't got the official information that we are also to look at every fund, including this one, to see, given different scenarios of cutting it to 5, 10, 15% of the costs. Now, we haven't got the full details, but what we'll be doing, going through this today of what the budget is requested, see if when I talk with CEO, also looking at areas of where we can cut. Issues that we make sure to look for is we can't cut if there's a contractor already in place, if there's a public safety issue, if there's any type of legality issue that we may have. That's what we're going to be looking at as of right now. But just let you know, and what would happen is we would go and do the analysis. If the budget is to change, we come back to your board, let you know what had changed, if anything had changed. And if it hasn't changed, just as the recommended budget, we will then come again and just let you know that this budget is going to be presented, and then we'll again ask you for your approval. So you do now have a little time to kind of look over what we have, kind of dive more into the detail. It's nice that it was a recommended budget that was passed, so therefore we can continue with our operations. Also, to let you know, there's a couple of items regarding FEMA. In this presentation, because we have not closed the project this time with FEMA, we sent all the bills and bills to be reviewed. There is a potential, I would say, if everything is worked, they approve it, we should have approximately about roughly $95,000 of revenue that will cover the costs associated with the damage that we repaired for the landscaping. In addition, we received $14,000 from the SEC settlement for the Woolsey fire that went to help to cover the costs of the remaining costs of that repair. Because with FEMA, they don't cover 100%. FEMA covers 75% of your cost, and then the state comes in and covers 75% of the rest of your cost. In addition, next week, there is an agenda item on the board that an additional 16,000 is being asked to be given to CSA 4 to cover the costs associated with the additional damage that was discovered with the Woolsey fire after the fact. I believe from what I was told that there was some damage that you could not see from the road that the resident had pointed out that there was additional damage that you had to go up the slope and see at the top. So that money can go towards covering those costs as well. So with that being said, yes, please go ahead. Ask me questions.
Would you like me to share the document for everyone, the budget?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. I didn't want to interrupt. So.
But so does that mean Supervisor Parks and the county officials that we don't have to totally agree with the budget today? We can discuss it, but we have more time?
Yeah, that's my opinion, yes. And if I could just add the last part about the landscaping and FEMA, I know Janice Metz was also pointing that out, that we should make sure that all the damage that was done by the fire is covered. And this was something I was able to do at the Board of Supervisors to add this extra piece. But the staff agree that this is the budget doesn't have to be approved at today's meeting. This is something they could do, for example, at their July meeting.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, because since we've already had a long MAC meeting today, we're running on over 2 hours, 24 minutes. I'm wondering, if we have any questions right now, because we have, the county here, we can ask, but I would like to recommend maybe then we complete doing this next month.
Well, actually,
I second the motion.
Well, wait, let's hear from staff first, okay?
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to say, I just would like to kind of go over it a little bit because it'd be nice to know what you think about it so that when we come in, if there's a cut or not, if there must be a cut, I'd like to let you know that where we think there might be a cut, or if you're agreeing on some of, let you know what the items that may be or may not be included in the budget. So if you don't mind, I just like to I can go over it really quickly, and then if you do have questions along the way, and Chuck and Valerie here to ask more in terms of landscaping questions.
Okay.
So the revenue, basically, again, property tax, so we're estimating a request about 3.54% increase in your property tax estimated. We have not really heard anything about any adjustments to that because of COVID-19 was after most property tax has been collected. We don't see what could happen into the next year, but so far it hasn't been really something that we would say a huge substantial loss. Again, that could change, but we haven't seen that or heard that. So I believe it should be pretty steady. Again, we have interest earnings, your special assessment, and as I said in your in all this presentation, that additional $115,000 roughly will be included in revenue, so that'll give you an increase. And so just going over other items, there's some.
Can you make it a little bit bigger? Can you enlarge it a little bit?
Oh yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hold on. Let me.
That's too big now.
Maybe
Zoom out.
Zoom out. Oh, okay.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What
Right.
are you still on the first page?
Yes.
Okay.
So just see that the revenue's doing what we have for next year. Technically speaking, when we did this presentation, we always do it in April. We still have a couple of months left, and we always present it against the year end for FY20, the projection. But I'm looking that you're going to probably, if it goes according to plan, you'll be actually saving some more than I'm projecting. So you'll be having more fund balance for next year to apply. So that loss that I show in the five-year projection would actually be reduced if it goes according to plan. So landscaping is the usual amount always, where I think that if we talked about, we're going to review again the 10 or 5, 10, 15% cut, if we are are required to do so, probably somewhere maybe in the landscaping emergency work, just let you know. That usually is something where we have, just in case, we had it in the budget when the fire crew, which was great because then we didn't have to go to the board and ask for more appropriations. We had it in there to cover the costs. So utility and irrigation, the budget was done before the street lighting was turning to LED. Now, of course, this may be something that might change. So, but that is what we're at least keeping it steady, or just a slight increase from last year. The next one is the retrofit, and that's something again to discuss because right now that is the new budget that helps maintain the watershed. Chuck, what is the part? We call it the Green Street project. And then just the other costs, we were looking at the increase in the crossing guard reimbursements. The Canaan shuttle's a little bit higher. We might be able to adjust a little bit there because of the new calculations and that nature. And then of course we have the volunteer and policing that we've noticed that is actually really slightly less. So there might be areas in that we may keep flat or maybe cut down a little bit if we need to. But so is there any questions?
No, I have a comment. I agree with the school crossing guard with the activity at the school getting less. I would think this could be an area where we could save money.
I think it's depends upon.
It's a contract cost.
Yeah.
So the school contracted for crossing guards and they're obligated to pay for them whether school's in session or not. So we aren't going to see any savings there.
Oh, really? Even if the crossing guards are not going to be used?
Yeah, they're contractually obligated to pay for them.
Oh, we need to ask them. Maybe they can renegotiate that contract.
Well, the contract is between the school district and the crossing guard company. So.
Right, but are we contracted to give them money if we were trying to save money? We didn't contract to the crossing guard.
Well, and also Derek mentioned that they laid off 100 people. Would those include the crossing guards?
No, the crossing guards are not employees of the district.
That's a good point, though, JL.
It is.
If the crossing guards, I would think are paid hourly, of course. I mean, I feel sad that they won't get it, but they didn't work the last 3 months.
Correct. But why should we pay them, right? Why should be yeah, just a question. I don't know what the answer is, but probably we should explore.
Chuck, is this a GSA contract?
It is not. It's a contract between the school district and the crossing guard company. GSA is not involved.
So Derek would know the answer to this.
I don't know if he's there. Can somebody look into that?
I'll send an email.
By the way, I agree with JL also. I mean, if you don't use them, you shouldn't pay for them.
Yeah, I'll send an email to Dr. Knight.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll send an email to Dr. Knight.
Okay, thanks, Jane.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have, so landscape enhanced landscaping. Remember we were discussing that they've gone to that new WOW instead of Roundup. So it doesn't look like any change too much in the price from the contract price there?
Enhanced Landscape did not ask for additional funds.
Okay, great. That's really good.
On the street lighting, Chuck, for SCE, how come we're going up and not down with the LED lights?
Because when we first prepared this contract, I had to submit the proposal back in January or February, long before COVID-19 became an issue. So we had no idea at that time when our particular project would come up on SCE's plan. So could have been a year from now. We had no way of knowing. We just found out in May that they were going to start work at the end of May.
Okay.
And I guess I got one last question is on the administration fiscal services. What is the increase coming from 29,600 to 31,500?
We have an increase and we had a raise increase in there as well as, I think mostly just for the raise increase.
Okay. Can we go to the next page?
Yes.
It is the projection, right?
So this is the
This
5-year
is
projection.
5-year fiscal projection.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Anybody have any comments on this? No? Okay.
Nope.
Next page.
Next page.
This is the end of that page.
Okay.
I wanted to make sure we highlighted items such as water usage, what it's done over the years. Again, of course, FY 17 and 18, we had increases due to the increases in rates, and then 19 dropped dramatically because of fire damage to the landscape and water. But in FY 20, I believe we're heading back up, but not to what we think we estimate. Hopefully, I think it'll be maybe about 240,000.
Okay.
Okay, I have a question on the fiscal services estimated election expenses for FY 23 and 25. Okay, so it's my understanding that we're trying to combine our elections to take place on November 3rd in order for cost savings. Was that taken into consideration when doing this budget?
Yes, it was.
So I'm not seeing it because my understanding is it should give us a cost savings of $30,000. So I'm not seeing it.
You said a $30,000?
Yeah, it's my understanding by combining
elections
that we can get a cost savings of $30,000, and that's the reason why we're doing it. So I'd like to see that in the budget.
I see the election cost only 5,000.
Yeah, we're only seeing 5,000.
Yeah, it should be at least 30,000 is my understanding.
No, but they're showing $5,000.
That's the cost.
Because usually it was averaging, I would think anytime election year, especially if you had a larger election, you would have anywhere between 2,500 to 5,000. I don't recall 30. I could look in the past. I just doesn't ring a bell.
That's the number was given to me, whether it was good or bad or indifferent. I'm just passing it on.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. So I don't think I have any other questions. If anybody doesn't have any more questions, then we can, can we vote on this next month?
Yeah, we'll see what the cuts are, right? They're going to propose.
Yes, we'll see if we're asked to, or I believe we're going to be asked to, but see what they would recommend, or if perhaps it can, as I'm hoping that this could stand on its own, because you are funded by, again, property tax, and you have a healthy fund balance.
Okay. What is this last chart we're looking at?
Well, the last chart just shows you, if you look at my projections, where you'll have fund balance and therefore run out of money. If you see the bottom that I have you at a loss at 2025, there's reasons for it. There is, for example, if Canaan Shuttle, Canaan Shuttle continues, yet, for example, we always predict this every year, that let's say, for example, we can't split it. If you can't split it, if we want to take it on its own, here's that cost that'll be increasing. It also shows the other increases, such as in landscaping and water. We added the new Oak Park, so we have that increasing, so it adds to it as well. And of course, as I mentioned, with that additional revenue, and I believe the savings you'll have this year, that would actually be a number that I think would be actually breaking even if everything stays steady, and we have that savings from this year, including the revenue from FEMA in 2025. But again, costs change, water changes, costs. But that's just if worst case scenario, here's what I see for the projections for the next 5 years.
I think that's a good point too, though, about the Canaan Shuttle. If they adopt a different protocol going forward for how people attend, whether it's a hybrid or work from home, you know, study from home, that's also going to affect ridership.
Seema, this is kind of late to be asking, but did you hear anything back about any kind of a survey taking place of the effectiveness of VIP that I asked for at the last meeting? You know, how often, I mean, what kind of work has been done so far for the outlay that we're putting out?
If you look at the minutes in the last, our last MAC meeting minutes, which I was reviewing again, the sheriff's
Uh-oh, you're frozen.
Minutes about how.
I'm not hearing you. You go in and out, Seema.
Oh, yeah, my internet is going in and out. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. If you look at the minutes from our February MAC meeting, the Sheriff's Department representative did give us some numbers about how many calls they made, how many homes they've checked, how many residents they interacted with. Go look at those minutes.
Okay.
Okay. And how about this chart?
That just shows how the expenses are over the years, how we made what was revenue in the our actuals, and then how it grows with the revenue, but how the expenses grow as well. So just for the projection wise, that if we do want to do what we want to do, as well as those costs that I get by projected, this is how it'll look for expenses compared to revenue. Because again, it is just based on your property tax and your special assessment. Which your special assessment will be coming to the board next week, right? Yes, it'll go to the board next week, which would be, I believe there's a recommendation of no increase. So that is additional, will stay flat at the 91,600.
So that.
Guys, can I say something really quickly? Since we're not voting on this budget, unfortunately, I have to cut loose right now. And so I just want to say goodbye to everybody. But we'll see you guys next meeting.
Okay, thanks, Alon.
Bye, Alon.
We'll finish up soon. It's a long meeting. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Just a quick question then. That doesn't look good. I mean, for us.
Yeah, the revenue is less than the expense. We're gonna be. Is this correct?
Well, this is again, if we look at projections, if we continue to, for example, Cadence Shuttle, we take on the full responsibility. With the volunteer increasing, now it doesn't go up very much, but we just added the volunteer and policing came up. Again, looking at if your water, of course, water increases going up. If we continue.
Oh, wow.
So it's basically projecting out, and I use the percentages on my notes. You'll see anywhere from 3% to 5% to 6%.
Yeah.
My increases. Things could change. Things could fall out. We have our landscape, remember the landscape repair remediation. We always have that in there for worst case scenario that we can have money that we can use right away if an emergency happens. If that doesn't happen or we don't work, that's money that again will not be used and it stays in the fund balance. But I always include that in there to say, let's say for example, a repair need to be done, emergency or something. Didn't work all the time.
So what do you suggest? I mean, what levers do we have? Is it just VIP, Cane and Shuttle, and crossing guards? Those are the only ones?
Well, those are the ones that you see, if you look, you see the growth coming in and water. So that's where basically you see overall your growth coming through. So that's why growth in expenses. So if they keep going the way if they do with my estimation. Again, if they don't, if they stay flat, if you crossing guard, I believe this still has a 7% increase a year.
It was around
about 7%. So that one will stay steady unless, of course, I believe it's a yearly contract. If you cut down or decide not to, again, that one's more of a decision than that.
But what is your recommendation? I mean, this is something that we have to really take seriously. The numbers are going in the wrong direction for us.
Correct.
That's it.
You're gonna go under.
Yes, if we do certain services that we have to require, or in the as you see, the crossing guards, if that continue with the 13, should a study be done to say, do we need that many crossing guards in that area? You know, there's a lot of things you can do. That's why I project it out so you can see in the future, saying, let's look at it. And, again, you can come in less cost.
Well, looks like we'll have some tough decisions then in the next year.
It does show you why all these, the water companies are all giving discounts for people to change out their, turf and putting in drought tolerant landscaping, because water bills are incredibly high. And it's a one-time only expense to do that change out, and maybe even the MAC would qualify, or the CSA would qualify for some rebates for doing that. But at any rate, you have an expense that will always increase. Water is scarce, and being able to go to drought tolerant would make a significant difference.
Yes.
Should we be looking at the landscaping closer to those costs and how landscaping is being performed in our community?
I don't think it's so much of a performance thing, right? It's the type of landscaping. So if you have plants that take a lot of water, you're going to be watering more.
Right.
And then you have to mow if you have grass, that's another expense that completely goes away, so there's definitely benefits that can be gained by the type of landscaping.
Yeah, we could reduce our maintenance cost and our water cost then.
Exactly.
Okay, well.
And can the water cost be negotiated?
Oops, sorry.
I would note too that, and Jane probably knows this, or you all might, but in Oak Park, recycled water costs the same as regular potable water. You're not saving money by using recycled because of the unfortunate negotiated deals that went on in the past. A lot for recycled water.
And it is the same cost. Oh wow.
It was when I was on the Triumph Sanitation District, and it came as a result of the transfer of the system from Callegas to Triumpho, and they made a deal in that the cost of water would mirror the cost of the recycle would mirror the cost of potable. So at any rate, you're paying a lot for water, and it's something that you can reduce by changing out your landscaping. And while it's painful, that first step to do that, it would be interesting to see if there are rebates available. And at some point, you need to bite that bullet, I would think, right?
Yes. Okay. Well, maybe it's something we add to one of our future agendas to start getting an estimate for that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But Supervisor Parks, what do you recommend we do this year about Cane and Shuttle if the schools don't have full capacity, they choose a hybrid solution or study from home?
Well,
Crossing guards and Cane and Shuttle are big issues.
Yeah, I think JL made a really good point of why would you pay for months of no, operation of the crossing guards. But I think the bigger issue with the Cane and Shuttle is the school district, as they look at cutting, may decide not to pay for it anymore. That's a possibility. I don't see the city of Agoura Hills stopping it. And so when you look at this budget, they have, as I understand it, they have been conservative in saying, let's say neither of our partners pays for it and we have to pay for the whole thing. I think that is not going to happen. I think the city of Agoura Hills is going to continue to be a partner. So there are definitely some conservative estimates in this budget that make the line a lot more of the disparity. And that, I would look back into the past, and this is how they do the budgets. And that's why this comes around pretty annually, showing that because of their conservative estimates that we're going to be in the red sooner than we typically are.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
All right, guys.
Are we done with the budget for today? I think, thank you, everybody from the county staff for being here. If we have any questions further, can we send them by email, Linda, to them? Or?
Certainly, I think they're here to serve you, and I would just ask that you keep Jan Osterhaven in the loop, because we don't want to ask the same questions. And as long as we keep in that loop, that way we are all have the same information. That's good.
Okay.
Would it be okay if we have as Jan being the counter, as the point of contact, and then she can give it to us as well? That would be, that way she can also see it, and then we can.
Okay, great. So
That would be good. Yeah, let's go through Jan. I'm sure she's happy to do it. And I also obviously know we can predict the future, right? So we're all doing our best, and we want to make sure that we're in the best stead that we can be. You know, there hasn't been an increase in the property tax in Oak Park for the CSA, but that, you know, there's always, how do you get more revenue? That's another way, and that's how you get more revenue. Otherwise, it's just continuing to cut for what, because things increase in costs.
Right.
Of course, you have a strong property tax base there, so you know you're doing well with that. You just have to continually cut as things get more expensive.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So
All right. Thank you, everybody.
We'll do this in July then, the final voting on the budget. Should we move on then to 11B, finish up these last few? MAC recommendation for the consolidation of Oak Park's election of 2 MAC members on November 3rd. Do we need to take a vote on that, Supervisor?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So what was it before? Before we were not doing the election with the general election?
Oh, we do this all the time. It's just something that routinely comes forward with each election. You have to make that decision again. And you don't have a separate election because it'll cost you 10 times more. So you definitely want to do it with the rest of the elections.
Okay, so I'll make the motion then that we go ahead and.
So is it for all 8 B, C, D, E?
Yes.
Okay, so the motion is for all items 11 B, C, D. Okay, go ahead, Seema.
Okay, I make a motion that we recommend items B, C, D, and E.
I second the motion.
Okay, Venice, you want to take a roll call?
Yes, Seema Chandra,
Aye.
Jael Diaz,
Aye.
Janice Smets. Oh, sorry, Janice Smets.
Aye.
And Jane Nye.
Yes.
Okay, great. We passed all those. Excellent.
All right.
I think that was one of our longest meetings, but we had a
We
lot.
So
didn't meet
Seema,
for two months.
will you print that out and send it to via snail mail like Jan said?
Oh, she froze.
I don't have a printer right now.
Yes, definitely.
What's that?
You're asking if Jan can provide that?
No, if Jane can print out and send it to.
Oh, you want me to? Oh, I thought you were going to do it.
No, I don't have a printer right now. I'm not at
Oh,
home.
she has it with your name on it. I'll have to edit it with my name then. I'll do it.
Okay, thanks, Jane.
Sure.
Okay, everybody, we will meet, I guess, in July. I guess probably Zoom again, the way.
But is it gonna be this time all again, or we're gonna do like the nighttime meeting?
I'll tell you, because our administrators it's a lot better for Zooming during the day. If we can do it during the day, I would appreciate it. And I know our staff would, and
Okay.
staff, etc.
Understand. All right. I think yeah, same time like this should be good. Thank you.
So much for accommodating us, and I'm delighted to be able to see you all, if not just virtually.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Adjourned.
Thank you.
Good job. Good job, Denise. Good